Get into the kitchen and make me dinner. And most of the time I can just be like, well, at least I'm not Job. But I heard God speak into my heart. I'm going to turn your vice into something good. Hi everybody and welcome back to my channel. I decided that since I have so many new people here, I want to do a get to know me Q&A since I feel like I have never done one of these, maybe? I don't know. Per usual, you guys sent in your questions over on Instagram and I'm going to try and answer as many as I can. I'm sorry if I cannot get to all of them. There are a lot. But let's just dive on in here. We're gonna try and go in order as best we can. Number 1, how old were you when you got married and why did you get married at that age? I got married at 25 and I got married at 25 because that's when I got married. We got engaged in 2024 and so we got married in 2025 and I was 25 in 2025. So yeah, hopefully that clears up things for you. I probably not, but I mean, it doesn't really clear things up for me either. I just got married when I did because that's when I did. Next question. If you have one song to listen to for the rest of your life, what are you listening to? I have no idea because my song choices and my taste in music changes on an hourly basis. One minute I'm like, oh yeah, rock and roll. The next minute I'm like country. The next minute I'm like Gregorian chant and pop music. Like there really is no in between. I have no chill when it comes to my taste in music. But if I had to pick a specific song from my childhood or even like right now that I have loved for many, many years and I still continuously listen to, one of two songs. Silver Springs by Fleetwood Mac or Best of Times by Styx. Either one of those two, never get tired of them. Yeah, I'd have to say either one of those. Next question. Favorite story from the Bible? Job. I have always loved the story of Job, and I don't know why I like stories about suffering and things like that, but there was always something very, I don't want to say comforting, because that story is not really comforting. I don't know, there's just something about it that makes me feel like I'm not alone in my struggles, and most of the time I can just be like, well, at least I'm not Job. Okay, Emma asks, who is your confirmation saint and your favorite non-canonized saint? Yeah, so my confirmation saint technically is Saint Rose of Lima, but I was told that I need to choose a female saint and I was not allowed to choose a male saint for my confirmation saint. Otherwise, Saint Francis of Assisi would have been my saint of choice, basically. And I do believe he actually is my patron saint. And as much as I love Saint Rose of Lima, I just have no connection to her. And I have tried for over 5 years now to try and have a connection with her. And I just cannot seem to find one. But I have always found a connection with Saint Francis. And so I like to think he is my actual confirmation saint. No hate to Saint Rose of Lima. Love her to death. But no connection. Okay, but really quick, before we get further into the video, I want to tell you guys about my Patreon. If you guys are enjoying this video, consider becoming a behind the scenes member over on my Patreon. On my Patreon, you will get full-length videos as well as ad-free, censor-free content and podcasts and videos early. Like there are a ton of different things. So definitely go check that out in the description below. It's a great way to support the ministry. And if you can't make a continuous donation, you can make a one-time donation on my website at thereligioushippie.com. And if you can't donate at all, I totally understand. I know money's tight. Please like, subscribe, and ring that notification bell so you know when I upload a video. I couldn't do this work without you guys. Thank you so, so much. All right, carrying on. Do you like traveling? I do like to travel. The issue is when you travel so many times back to back in 1 month where you have no routine when you get home and it takes forever to get into one and to settle into one. That's probably like the hardest thing is getting back into a routine. But yeah. I do really enjoy traveling. What are your thoughts on the Marinite church? Asking because I don't have a TLM in my country. Maronites are great. My husband's best friend is Maronite. He was actually in seminary for a little bit to become a Maronite priest. Go for it. They are fantastic. Next up, we have what motivates you to pray every day? I have absolutely no motivation. Sounds really bad. I'm being honest with you guys. I genuinely really struggle with motivation sometimes because right now, especially I am in a dry season. And when I'm in a dry season, I have absolutely no motivation. I literally just do it anyways. Maybe it's not the best prayer I've ever had in my life. Maybe there are certain things that don't go well and I feel like it's still dry even while doing it, but I still say 3 Hail Marys. I still say my morning offering. I just do it anyways. Of course there's like motivations like, oh, I don't want to go to hell. Obviously I want to keep my relationship with God, but at the end of the day, motivations come and go and I just need to do it anyways, whether I feel like it or not, whether or not I have motivation or not. But on days when I don't struggle with dry prayer and things of that nature, my motivation really is just keeping my relationship with God and praying for family members and people who need prayers, just things like that. but I don't like give myself a little treat after praying or anything like that. Maybe I should. No. Gotta do it anyways, whether we feel like it, whether we get a little treat or not. Next question. What made you become a Catholic influencer? I think a lot of people assume that I kind of stepped into this on my own. That's not the case. That is not the case at all. This whole apostolate, I guess, is what I'm supposed to be calling it, not a ministry. You learn something new every day. This whole apostolate really started because I was looking for community back in 2019 and 2020, and I wasn't finding it. This was pre-COVID. I was really looking for young Catholics who were similar to me, who just came back into the Catholic Church, were trying to live out their Catholic life. Like, this is what it's like to be a young Catholic surviving in a secular world, right? And I was not finding them because at that time, 2019, 2020, there really weren't Catholic influencers. There was no Catholic communicators. There was nobody. So I had literally no community. And what I ended up doing was kind of just reaching a hand out into the void and just seeing if anything took my hand. And luckily, it did. And there were at least 5 of us originally on TikTok who kind of started a Catholic little group, and that was my community. And then as I grew in my faith and I was sharing my faith journey and how I was coming back into the church and all of my experiences and everything like that, I gained a following through that. But a significant amount of people started following my journey when I posted my first video on TikTok. It's so easy to get famous on TikTok. I don't even want to talk about it. But I posted a video about just like my rosary and the church I went to at the time, and that blew up overnight. And I gained thousands upon thousands of followers to my page, and they were basically going through the exact same things that I was going through, and I just felt not alone anymore. And the more that people started asking me about the faith, the more I started learning about the faith and I started diving into it more. But here's the caveat. Okay, there are a lot of people that want to become Catholic influencers because they want to get famous. They think there's money involved with it. And I'll get emails from people being like, how do I get this amount of followers? How did you get so many followers? How did you do this? How did you get that? And I don't respond to those people because they're not in it for the right reasons. When I first had a ton of people follow me, I went to adoration and I said, God, social media has always been a vice of mine. It's caused me to trip up in so many ways. If this is not of you, please take it away from me, because maybe the devil's trying to trick me. But I heard God speak into my heart, I'm going to turn your vice into something good. Of course, that came with me having to actually do it for God and not for myself or my own selfish reasons and stuff like that. But I basically started this apostolate without knowing anything. I didn't know anything. I didn't know what I was doing. I was basically just trying to share my journey coming back into the faith, and I learned from a lot of people. With that being said though, looking back, I know things happened the way that they did because of the situations that I was in. I didn't have community, and that's what I was looking for. I was reaching out. I wasn't specifically going into this thinking, oh, I'm going to start an apostolate. I was just thinking, oh, I need friends, and I don't know how else to get out there except social media. But if I could go back, I would definitely take at least a year to grow in my faith before starting any kind of online apostolate. There were a lot of mistakes that I made, and there were a lot of things I just was not prepared for. I was not ready for that. At least a year of growing in my faith could have prepared me for. But everything works out the way that God wants it to for a reason. And now it's this. This is what it's become. Moving on. Did you ever have a Protestant phase? Yes, but it was half-hearted and short-lived. My boyfriend at the time was Protestant. All my friends were Protestant when I wasn't Catholic and all that stuff. So I went to like Protestant services and I was there, but never participated, didn't care much for it. In general, I didn't really care much for Christianity when I was away from my faith. When I was raised in the traditional Latin Mass and I was being raised with like this rich history of the church and things like that, when I went to a Protestant service, it just felt very cheap. It felt very performative. And I was just like, no. So even though I did go with my friends every now and then, or, you know, I went with my boyfriend to like Bible studies and things like that, I was not committed to it at all. I was just like, yeah, well, this is mid, I guess. I'm just being honest with you guys. Like, that is what teenage me thought. Yeah, so I technically did have a little bit of a Protestant phase there, but it was pretty short-lived. And yeah, it never really went anywhere. Okay, next question. Gemma asks, hi girl, by the way, what are you most proud of so far in your life? Definitely getting married. Like, getting married, finding my vocation, top. Like, cannot top that. Obviously, hopefully having kids at some point too, but that just hasn't happened yet. But yeah, right now, 100% getting married. My producer says, do you have good genes? I would like to think so. Okay, next, Catholic girly here and YouTube fan. Oh, thank you. What's your favorite mystery of the Rosary? Sorrowful Mysteries, 100%. Sorrowful Mysteries have always been my favorite, and they still are. Next up, do you and your husband have a saint you both feel connected with that you ask for guidance and grace? Yeah, so I guess not to make it too complicated, basically Our Lady. Like, that is the one saint we both feel pretty connected to, who we ask for help and stuff like that. Also, our family guardian angel, like, phenomenal, because when you get married, you get a new guardian angel for your family. You still have your personal guardian angel, but you also have a family guardian angel. So definitely ask them for prayers and protection and stuff for your family. Next up is from Christian, and he says, did you ever get into the wrong crowds? I think a lot of us reverts went down that road. Yeah, but honestly, seeing what my best friend Chloe went through, or some of my other friends went through with rough crowds, I think I actually had it fairly mild. A lot of my friends were into drugs and sex and just a bunch of immoral stuff, but it never really rubbed off on me. I mean, cursing did, and some of the bad behavior did, kind of like lying and stuff like that. But when it actually came down to like the hardcore stuff, I, for some reason, was protected from that. Obviously, I struggled with pornography, but when it came to outside of marriage, drinking, everything like that, I was actually not interested in that at all as a teenager. I saw what it did to my friends, and I was just like, yeah, I don't really want that for myself, so I'm not gonna do that. But you are completely right, that is something that is very common with the revert crowd. But like I said, my group was fairly mild compared to what I feel like I've heard from some of my friends, so I'm very grateful for that. Next up, favorite movie? Shrek 2. No explanation needed. Get into the kitchen and make me dinner. First of all, you're not my husband. Second of all, not a question.
Boom. Roasted.
Do you know if the church approves of the practices of natural family planning? It does, because it literally invented it. Well, it didn't necessarily. It just, yeah, you know what I mean. When natural family planning is used in accordance to what the church actually teaches, yes, the church obviously approves of it. Unfortunately, a lot of people use it to prevent a pregnancy for absolutely no reason, and that is complete BS and should not be done. That actually can be sinful, but a lot of people that I know have used NFP in order to get pregnant, and a lot of people have used NFP to track their cycles to make sure they're healthy, because as women, our cycle is our third vital. So that's kind of important to track and know about. And some people will use NFP to prevent a pregnancy if, for example, the family is in severe poverty and having another child would actually be detrimental to that child coming into the world. Or I remember Father Chad Ripperger prescribed NFP to a woman who was literally going insane because she had 7 kids in like 6 years or something like that. And then there's like health situations and things like that too that can also play a role. What doesn't count is, oh, well, we're gonna move soon, and so I don't want to get pregnant right now. Or, well, I plan on going on vacation to Bora Bora next year, and if I had a baby, it just wouldn't work out. Or, yeah, you know, we have enough money in the bank, but we're just waiting for the perfect timing to have a child. PSA, there is no perfect time to have a child, okay? But even if you are using NFP to prevent pregnancy, you still need to be open to life. So if God's like, boom, you're pregnant, you still have to be open to life, and you cannot use any contraception. But yes, the church does approve of it as long as it's not used in a disordered manner. Next up, have you ever had a debate with Jehovah Witnesses? I technically not, because as soon as I was just like, oh yeah, you guys want to talk about Catholicism, like, let's talk about it, they were like halfway down the driveway. So technically, no. Because they didn't want to, but you know, it happens. Okay, and our next question is, what made you fall in love with your husband? Honestly, so many things. First of all, he's the most attractive man I've ever seen in my entire life. Second of all, he's extremely smart, but without needing to be. What I mean by that is he does not need to be the smartest man in the room. Like, he is totally fine sitting back, listening to other people, talking about philosophy or theology if it calls for it, but he does not need to be the center of attention. He's not constantly trying to get people to look at him. I guess really what it is he has like this level of confidence about him, and he can get along with literally anyone and everyone. When we were at the Creator Conference, Max was literally everybody's favorite person. So I would say there's just a multitude of different things. Something else though that was really attractive is how seriously he took his faith. Obviously, there are a lot of guys I feel like who just kind of wear their faith as a mask or as some sort of costume instead of actually believing their faith. Like, they'll go to mass on Sunday, sure, but then as soon as they leave, it's as if they were never Catholic or they never went to mass. And with my husband, that's not the case. He has standards, he has values, and that's something that I really admire about him. Yeah, he's just really funny, and we have the same sense of humor, and he's very caring, and he's just always looking out for me. And yeah, I don't know. It's just everything. Everything all the time. Okay, next up, what is your favorite breakfast? I don't actually like breakfast food. I know, I don't like breakfast food. I don't like eggs, sausages, pancakes maybe, waffles, they're okay. The only breakfast food that I will eat is maybe like a chopstick, no eggs. Of course, I still force myself to eat breakfast food if that's all we have. Like eggs are extremely good for you. They have like every vitamin and nutrient you need in just like a little ball. But I really don't like breakfast food. Okay, and our last question for tonight, because it's getting extremely dark outside, it's about to get very moody up in here, is what state do you guys live in? We live in Missouri. We originally lived in Chicago, and many of you guys already knew that because I shared that quite often, but now we're in Missouri and we're here for the next 5-ish years. So yeah, with all that being said, guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I will see you guys in the next video. Bye. A huge thank you to my Jude crew over on Patreon for making this video happen. I would specifically like to thank Jude Crew Plus. And I would personally like to thank Jude Crew Bold, Ricardo Aguilera, Roger Davis, Rubes Goodbrain Coffee, Darren, Jay Usetti, Veronica Beck, Dan Nunn, Sabrina, James Bell, Father Carr, George Gregory, Oliver Waite, Andrew Plowski, Alex R., James, and Jude Crew Epic, Franz and Tony Van Tunder, Bill Gall, Connor, Brian Cootie, Jarrell de Guzman, Michael, Paul Donovan, Michael Martin, Kevin Ashbrook, and Jason Sager. You guys are all amazing. Thank you so much for your support. I could not do this without you, and I will talk to you guys in the next video. Bye!